Hello and welcome to the Dream Team Tonic podcast. This evening, it's just myself and Ben as we have some flu in the camp. I was ill previously. I think being on the pod with Tony, I've managed to somehow infect him over the internet. So Tony is out of action today. But Ben, how are you feeling? No coughs for you?
Actually, I've got a bit of a cough coming on, actually.
Oh. It's not a bit of a cold, is it? Not a bit of a cold?
Yeah. Not yet. Not
We've
yet.
survived him so far. We're recording this it's half time, isn't it, in the Chelsea Wolves match? So 1-1 currently. And a lot of people are hoping for a Cole Palmer blank, I think. Let us know in the chat if you're hoping for some Cole Palmer goals or some Cole Palmer blanks this evening. It seems like a lot of people took him out, though. We'll go straight on to our teams, and you'll get a bit more context of what we've done with our teams. Take us away, Ben, with yours.
Yeah. 86 points. I've literally dropped one place in the overall leaderboard. So I was 564th last time we did the pod, and I'm 565th now. So did 2 moves this week. I sold Palmer for Foden. 19 points for Foden. Good start. And I sold Johnson, who's injured, for Diaz. I brought Diaz back in for the fixture run for Liverpool, even though he had a estimated 0.3 drop. And yeah, it literally was a 0.3 drop, but in price, I mean. But I just didn't like any of the other options, and I really like the Liverpool run of fixtures, and obviously playing centre forward for Liverpool's good option. But Nunez come off the bench, didn't he? Yeah. Got 2 goals, so could be a problem in the future. But
Jota's out now, isn't he? So that's one less player to cause you problems.
That was one of the reasons I went for Diaz, because of the Jota competition. Jota scored off the bench the other week, didn't he, as well? He got 4 points. It's not too bad. 2 shots on target. Martinez got 3 points. Gabriel and Timber got 2. Alexander-Arnold, another 14 points. Got an assist as well, didn't he? Kulusevski and Fernandez both got goals, 10 points each. Isak was the only single game player I kept. And obviously with Johnson being injured, it made the decision easier for me. I preferred Isak's fixtures over Palmer's longer term. Obviously, Isak's got the cup as well in game week 22, is it?
Yeah,
he's got the doubling game week 22, so... Yeah, and Southampton next week, so possibly could keep him again for the single against Southampton next week. Salah, 8 points as my captain, and Haaland, 11 points. So 86 points.
Yeah, not great on the captaincy, was it?
No.
I went for Salah as well. Was you shocked by the split on the captaincy? Because I thought it was going to be nearer 50-50.
Yeah, it was majority Salah, wasn't it?
71% Salah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't going to go Salah at the start of the week, so I was thinking, I don't know if he'll play that the Champions League game, because they're pretty much through. But then I changed my mind, and I went for Salah. And there wasn't any standout option, really. I mean, Haaland is a good option, and Bruno Fernandes, I liked. There was just them 3, really, but there was no one I was like, yeah, this one's definitely... That's my captain definitely this week. No one really stood up for me.
Yeah, I was tempted by Haaland when we were looking at it on the pod. But then I started going between the 2, and I kind of felt like who's sort of been more reliable over the course of the season for us?
Yeah.
Is Salah really going to let us down twice? So I ended up going Salah for that reason. 37 shots they had in that game, Liverpool.
Mm.
Yeah, 8 on target. But yeah, I don't think he really looked as good as normal. But yeah, still another game to go, isn't there?
Yeah.
I like that Diaz move though, because I think we've got a few questions about Diaz later on. But like you say, they've got so many fixtures. If you were going to do that sort of, we keep comparing him to Mahrez, don't we? If you're going to take that approach, they have got the most games coming up, haven't they? So just going to try and play the volume, I guess.
Yeah.
My side. So I think I was quite relieved about the about the Maresca dropping the Palmer news, really. Because,
Scott,
yeah,
just quickly, can you just check your microphone? It seems to have gone a bit muffled.
yeah, one sec.
There you go. It's better already.
I just moved it closer. Is that better?
All right. I don't know what happened there.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine now.
Cool. Yeah, I was kind of a little bit relieved about the Palmer being a doubt because I was probably going to have to choose one of Foden and Trent to bring in this week, and I obviously missed out big time on Trent last week. I kind of felt like Foden was the priority, so I was probably going to go another week without Trent if Palmer, seemed to be fit. But after that comment, I thought, could I take a chance and take Palmer out? And I think my other move was Mbumo had to go. That allowed me to do the exact funds to do Foden and Trent back in. Obviously, nice to be on the right side of a Trent haul this time round. So, yeah, my 2 moves in, Foden and Trent, Palmer and Mbumo out. My Arsenal defence is winding me up a bit here, though. So 2 points Raya, 2 points Gabriel, and 2 points Timber. It seems like a bit of a running theme. And they're not, apart from Gabriel with the odd attack and return, they're not really scoring many other points. So a bit frustrating there. And then Porro, Spurs obviously getting smashed by Everton was not one that I was fully expecting. So yeah, not great in the defence. I've got 4 at the back at the minute. But Kulusevski, 10 points, Bruno, 10 points, and then Foden with a brace as well, 19. So I think you've got all those as well, haven't you? And then same front 3. So Isak, Haaland, and Salah. Salah as the captain. So again, similar sort of points to you. I think, was it your only extra points with Martinez? Grabbed an extra, and Diaz a couple more than one of my extra defenders. So yeah, not much in it. I think I've not moved much at all either. Obviously, that could change if anything happens with Cole Palmer. Let us know in the chat if anything does. But I'm on 78th at the minute, so I think I've gone down 3 places since when I started the week. So yeah, still plenty of games to come though. We've got quite a lot of doublers, haven't we? So all looks all right. Should we go on to listen to questions?
Yep.
Before we do, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and we'll shout out a few of our Patreon and YouTube members that are in the chat. So we've got Miss Noopy, we've got Philip Harrison, Steve Ricks, Johnny Yates, Mark Tavares, Andy Barnett, Ian Curry. Miss Noopy says, hope you feel better, Tony. So if Tony's listening. Steve, we'll probably answer this in a bit, but where are you guys in the Second Chance League? He's currently 750th. We'll do the leagues at the end. And he's also said that Sky Sports have just reported that Jota will be out 3 to 4 weeks. So, as a Diaz owner, you might be a bit happy there. You might find yourself swapping him over to Darwin, eh?
Yeah.
If you are interested in becoming a YouTube channel member or Patreon member and supporting the podcast, you also get a few extra perks. So on Patreon, and YouTube, you get access to the Discord, you get early access to the pods ad-free, and then you get your priority Q&As, so you can pop your questions in for us to answer on the pod. And then I can always forget which tier it is, but which tier gets your fixture ticker, Ben?
Important player, the 2nd tier.
Cool. We've got on Patreon, we've got a few different tiers, and yeah, important player, you get Ben's fixture ticker that we spoke about and we will speak about in this episode, and we'll have also our top players sort of to target article going out for February quite soon as well. So yeah, if you're interested in that, link in the description below for Patreon, and you can just hit join for becoming a channel member. Questions. So Jay Baker, any players you'd put in now that you would hold through to game week 23? So we kind of got a caveat this because we were talking about it before we come live. But do you want to quickly talk through, if you've got your ticker open there, why it's not as easy as that?
Yeah, so basically we want to find out what happens in European games, don't we, midweek? So obviously the Champions League and the Europa League groups are very close at the minute, and is it the top 8 go through to the last 16?
Yeah.
And then what is it, the top 24? So from 9th to 24th go into a playoff. So there'll be extra games possibly for some English teams. So we'll see. We'll have a bit more information by Thursday. So we'll find out who's possibly in the playoffs, who can't qualify, who's into the top 8. So yeah, it's a hard question to answer in a minute. But obviously, yeah, you have a look, and Liverpool players basically they are definitely through, but and they don't have a playoff in 23, but they'll play Everton in a rearranged game. So they've got doubles all the way through. They might rotate in the last Champions League game. I think they're 99.9% through in the Champions League. So they might play a strong team this week, but then possibly rotate a few players next week. So you might miss a couple of players there, but they've got the double in 22 as well, which is the second leg of the Carabao Cup, and they're 1-0 down, so they're going to have to go strong in that. And then obviously the Everton game's the extra game in 23 with the Plymouth FA Cup game. So, yeah, Liverpool players. Tottenham's the same. Obviously got... they're about 9th, aren't they, in the Europa League?
Yeah, I think 9th or 8th.
Yeah, so they need to win. They've got their double, obviously, against Liverpool in 22, and then they might be in the playoffs in 23. So you basically you want to see what happens midweek, really, don't you?
They've not got much choice as well, have they? Spurs, with the amount of players they've currently got left, probably not even got the luxury of rotating. Yeah, I'll put Spurs and Liverpool are like the two that are probably safest, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, Villa could be okay, but they don't double in 22, do they? So they've got back-to-back Champions League, but then just a single in 22. But that's against Wolves away, so if you did want a single, that's not that bad. And then their FA Cup match is Spurs, so you'd think they'd go strong. So I don't think that's a bad team to go for. What are your thoughts? Arsenal's tough, isn't it? Because would you just say you wouldn't bring Arsenal in at this point? But next week, Wolves Girona doesn't look bad.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't mind. It depends on your team, obviously. I wouldn't go any more than 2 Arsenal players now. You'll probably be looking to move off one eventually, won't you? Probably, I'd say the goalie to release some funds. But, I don't mind Gabriel or Timber for this Game Week 21 double. I think there could be a couple of clean sheets in there with Wolves and Girona.
Saliba's ruled out now, though, isn't he? So it's you weigh it up. You like your guys become more nailed, but the defense becomes a fair bit worse, doesn't it? So it's hard.
Yeah. I know Timber's played centre half before, but you're losing him as an attacking threat. Going forward when he plays centre back. I'm just surprised that they didn't play what's his name, Thomas Partey at centre back instead of right back, but he hasn't done that yet, has he? So he always plays right back.
Yeah, it's a tough one. He can play there, but he was at fault. Partey was at fault for both the goals, really.
Yeah.
That was a annoying one. But Yeah, I probably wouldn't be bringing him in at this point, or maybe just make sure you've got Gabriel in place. Who else we've got? City, tough double. Chelsea, Bruges, but then the single in 22 is Arsenal, which again not great.
Mm.
And then you'd think in game week 23 they play a pretty rotated FA Cup match. And are we guessing that they're going to get the playoff? You think they will?
I think they'll get the playoffs. Do you think?
Yeah, unless there's some real freak results, I think they'll end up getting the playoff rounds, which could be good.
Well, are they 5 points off of 8th?
Yeah, 5 points off of. Well, I think it's It gets quite tight. There's loads of teams on 13 points. I think it was. You've got 3rd all the way down to 8th on 13. So it's quite congested. And then United. What do you do with United at the minute other than Bruno? Maybe a cheap defender, but yeah, again, we have to wait and see what happens, don't we, in this next run?
If you're struggling for budget, yeah. But I'd only be looking at Bruno, really.
So say we like Liverpool and Spurs best with the information we have. What Liverpool do you like?
Van Dijk, Trent, Salah, Diaz for me at the minute. Gakpo's been doing all right, but he's a striker, so I don't know if I'd bring him in. Not too sure.
I don't mind the look of like bringing in Gakpo in, but then I kind of feel a little bit like if you're going to take the risk of taking Isak out at the moment, would you rather go for like Watkins, for example, who's looking a bit more in form?
Well, they've just rejected another bid from West Ham, haven't they? 57 million.
Yeah.
For Duran, sorry. But Duran does. It's a bit annoying with Watkins, isn't it? Because he takes minutes off Watkins.
Mm. Yeah, again, that's another one, isn't it? If they need the win, if they need the wins, I think they play Watkins in the form that he's in.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they end up going through, you'd imagine Duran, as long as he's not getting sold, will play. Any love for McAllister? I know he's been spoken about a little bit. I'm just looking at like all the volume of games. Would you rather have like the explosive, maybe Diaz or Gakpo, or would you rather just someone that's going to play the bulk of the games without the rotation?
I like him, but I just don't see him as a top 5 midfielder in the game. You know what I mean? At the minute, I mean, we haven't mentioned Rodgers. Rodgers is a decent option and good for minutes with West Ham and Celtic at home in the next 2 games. I think he's a safer option than Watkins for me.
Yeah, safer than Watkins, or
safer option than Watkins for minutes.
Yeah, nice price as well. Didn't do well in that match against Arsenal, but he's been pretty reliable, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Tielemans is like the same price and basically on the same points as well, and he was really good, wasn't he? First half of the season, seems to be quite attacking. Onana and who was the other CDM? Kamara.
Kamara.
Yeah, they are a great pair in them too. Definitely let Tielemans get forward quite a bit.
Yeah.
I quite like to look at him. If everyone goes Rodgers, like Tielemans, I do think is fairly tempting. But then Rodgers does get forward more, doesn't he?
Cucurella, he's just good.
Yeah, I see that. Do we know who assisted it yet? Not Palmer. And what about Spurs? Like, I mean, I've got Porro. Didn't do well this week, but I mean, I'm happy to keep him with all these games.
Yeah.
But we've now got we've both got Kulusevski as well, so both of them are great options.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Maddison, is he going to start getting some more minutes now that there's so many injuries?
Yeah, well, there's not much choice to go for because he's still well high up on the points, isn't he, for midfielders? I was having a look at this earlier. Yeah. Midfielders. He's only 5 shy of Kulusevski, and it feels like Kulusevski's been flying, doesn't it? But yeah, didn't do very well in the last game, or last couple of games actually. So we'll see how he does in midweek.
Played 90 minutes though, didn't he?
Yeah. One to keep an eye on maybe with that other game to still go. What about who else we got here? What would you do? Would you consider adding more City at the minute with that Arsenal game?
I'd consider another midfielder. Probably De Bruyne's a bit higher up now. I think he's back in form. To get 2 assists at the weekend.
He was on fire, wasn't he? 2 assists. Oh no, 3 assists. It was 12 points, 3 assists.
Yeah, he
looking on it.
Back on it, doesn't he? Savinho got dropped, didn't he? Well, rested or.
That was a sickener, wasn't it? Because he was the kind of he looked like the go-to, didn't he? Because Doku he'd had the FA Cup recently, hadn't he? But he's absolutely hauled again. 17 points, Doku, goal and an assist.
Yeah.
Would you still say Savinho, even though the recency of Doku? I probably would.
I don't know, man. Doku's added a couple of goals lately now. Maybe he's starting to get his shooting boots on. Even Adama Traore scored this weekend, though.
I'm not going there. Let's move on to the next one because there's a fair few there, isn't there? I guess the only other one we could maybe talk about is Vardiol because obviously they've kept the clean sheet, haven't they, this week?
Yeah.
You quite like the look of him.
Fixtures are tricky defensively, though, aren't they? Chelsea, Bruges, and Arsenal. I mean, they could get a clean sheet. They could get a clean sheet in all of them, couldn't they, really, if they dug deep? We've got to win that Bruges game. We've got to win the PSG game, which is this game week. So, yeah, see how they get on against PSG. Might be more enticing if they get a clean sheet against PSG.
We'll have a chat about keepers in a bit, but Ederson was back in, wasn't he? In that one. Wonder if that might be one to stay after Ortega got the hairdryer treatment, didn't he? Andy B up next. He's in the chat as well. So evening, Andy. So with the exception of Salah, Trent, Haaland, and Foden, name 3 players that you'd be scared of not having in your team going into game week 21. This is the way I always end up thinking about my moves. Who scares me?
Well, to name 3 players that he hasn't named there, I'd say Bruno, Kulusevski, and Diaz. I'd really want for this game week, and luckily I've got them all in my team. Bruno, he's got Bruno's got Fulham and Steaua Bucharest. Kulusevski's got Leicester and Elfsborg, and Diaz has got Ipswich at home, PSV away. So I think they're all good double game weeks. But if 3 players that I don't have that I would be interested in getting, that I think could do well this week, De Bruyne with Chelsea, Bruges, both at home. Rodgers, 2 home games, West Ham and Celtic, and Maddison's on the radar now, I think, especially with Leicester at home, Elfsborg. So, and with the injuries, I just think he should get more minutes now, and he's just so good on the bonus.
Yeah, KDB I think he's going to gain traction, isn't he? I think that one does scare me a little bit if I wasn't on him. I mean, I know it's a single, but if you're not on Isak, I think this week would still be a scary experience, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Palmer just got the pre-assist for the 3rd.
Oh, I saw he had a free kick. 3-1, Madueke.
Yeah. He likes scoring against Wolves, doesn't he?
We're dodging it here. Was he got the hat trick last time?
Yeah.
KDB would scare me. Isak just because it's Southampton.
Yeah.
And the amount of goals that they're conceding. But I don't know. Maybe I don't want to jinx it, but maybe if like Palmer keeps fairly quiet this evening, then maybe like people will be less fearful of Isak and maybe would gamble it. But that double the week after makes it hard to do so, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at it in a batch of 3 against 4, then it's a bit different in it than a 1 versus 2.
But then I'm looking at the ownership, like nothing's majorly high. I think if I didn't have any Arsenal, like I've already got 3, so it doesn't matter too much for me. But if I wasn't on any Arsenal, I'd still look in the top 1K, like Gabriel's on 40%, Timber's on 39%. I think with Wolves and with Girona, I think I probably would still fear the clean sheet a little bit. But yeah.
What attacking options from Arsenal would you would you think could do well in those double?
I said it. I said it on our voice note to the hub that we do.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't like any Arsenal attackers for the week just gone. And I think just because Martinelli's returned and Trossard had a decent game, Havertz grabbed the goal, didn't he? But I still wouldn't be tempted to bring them in because I just feel like there's still something wrong. Like we definitely improved, but I wouldn't do it ahead of some of the other options that we've said. So, and then you're going to have to think about taking them out again, aren't you?
Yeah.
Would you want Martinelli for Newcastle City the week after, or Trossard? Probably not.
I just can't trust. What's his name?
You don't like Arteta, do you?
Arteta. The players do well. They score a couple of goals in a couple of games, and then he just doesn't play them the next game, rests them. I don't get it.
Well, I think the only option we've got to rest anyone at the minute is to chuck Sterling in the mix, but he has shown that he will do it. So, yeah, I would avoid for now. I think with Arsenal, I will next be looking to maybe jump back on Arsenal players. Maybe we've got no match in 23, have we? And there's reports.
Yeah, not at the minute. Not at the minute.
There's reports that we might be heading off to Dubai. I'm guessing if we don't get a playoff game, obviously. If we don't get a playoff game, I think we're going to have probably just over a week off, isn't it? Yeah, it'll be a week off. I think we'll probably go to Dubai for a week, get our feet up, and then after that, we've got Leicester.
Yeah.
They're doing all right, aren't they? Then West Ham. So, yeah, I think I'd look at it after that for Arsenal. Bradders, ideal midfielder or potentially defender to replace Palmer for 21. So he's obviously kept Palmer for this week. He's got Foden, he's got Kulu, and he's got Bruno.
I was saying like De Bruyne is really interesting now for 21. I mean, he hasn't got a double in 22, and it's Arsenal away, which is tricky. And then he probably won't play the FA Cup in 23 because it's Leyton Orient.
True.
So, but he is interesting for 21. Kulusevski's probably the safest one. He should play most of the games all the way through. And I like Diaz still. It's a good option with all these doubles and good fixtures for Liverpool.
You said KDB there, and you obviously mentioned the FA Cup. If you was looking to bring in like a City midfielder, would you still prioritise KDB just because he's sort of like the higher ceiling pick, or would you prefer to go for Savinho or Doku and hope that you get the FA Cup as well?
I'm still edging towards De Bruyne, and then could reassess, maybe change it in 22 to something else. Because if you're in my position where your team's pretty good set up, you can sort of jump about. But if you can get unlucky and get a couple of injuries and you get stuck with him, which ain't that bad. But it's a single against Arsenal away, so yeah, Savinho. I did really like him, but obviously with him benched, against Ipswich. I suppose they didn't need him in the end because they were flying, weren't they? So
Yeah.
just gave him a rest in the end. He probably would have come on if it was tight. But yeah, you just don't know who's going to play on the left, do you, for Man City? He
I
did
thought Fabinho
start.
had it. I thought he had it down.
Yeah,
But
he did start like 7 in a row, was it? Something like
yeah,
that.
maybe just a rest.
Hmm.
But you're gonna have to start playing Doku now. He's delivering as well.
Yeah.
It's hard. I do think looking at I've got your ticker open here, and I do think like it screams just taking it week by week almost, doesn't it? You can't plan anything too long term.
Yeah.
I think Trent and Porro I think might be the other two you could look at if you want a defender instead. I think, but yeah,
Van Dijk's been doing all right though, hasn't he, as well?
yeah. I'm not ruled out maybe dropping one of my Arsenal to a Van Dijk potentially. Obviously, there's a lot of budget in my defence though. But you know he's going to play the bulk of games. I was looking at Liverpool and like, there's loads of games there. The only ones that you think there'll probably be rotation for would be PSV if they qualify straight away. You'd imagine Bournemouth have been so good recently. They're going to have to go full strength for Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And they're 1-0 down in the Carabao, so they'll have to go full strength for that. And then it will just be Plymouth, won't it? I think.
Yeah, and he should get Everton in the second game. Probably rest for Plymouth.
So I think you're probably only looking at 2 games max. But then he's next to Konate, who's going to need a rest. He's been apparently playing with painkillers and stuff, so you might get lucky and get an extra one. That's a good shout. Miss Snoopy. So she's after some thrill ride suggestions of differential midfielders. Any budget needs to do something a bit different to leapfrog some positions. She's willing to be brave. So have you got any differentials? We do our differential of the week on Patreon. Quick plug for that.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, like we were just saying, De Bruyne there, still very lowly owned. 5.7% in the top 1K, 7% in the top 100, and 5.2 overall. It's got 2 home games in the next 2. I think he'll play them both, and obviously he'll play Arsenal in a single. And then obviously it's up to you if you want to jump off again. But and yeah, Maddison mentioned him before. 3.8% owned the top 1K, 2% owned in the top 100, and 14.7 overall. Or Rodgers, 22% in the top 1K, 11 in the top 100, and 14.3% overall. So they're all quite lowly owned.
Who'd you prefer, Maddison or Rodgers?
I'd be tempted to go for Maddison.
Yeah,
I think because of the double and Leicester Elfsborg with loads of injuries. I think Maddison should. He's got to play.
He's been resting all season, hasn't he?
No, and Leicester's defense is like awful. I can see lots of goals, especially in the Elfsborg game as well.
Do you think, off on a little bit of a tangent, but you think Andrew's going to get sacked? Or do you think he's all right?
I don't know, because they're doing well in the Cups, aren't they?
Yeah, Mourinho got to a semi-final and they sacked him.
He got to the final, mate.
The final, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, he got sacked. He got sacked the same week. Did he get sacked the same week of the final?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that, yeah. They wanted to give him the chance to win because he won a cup with every team, didn't he? That's what he said.
He probably had a big bonus, didn't he, if he won a trophy, and they do what they wanted rid. I like Maddison. I think that's a good shout. Obviously, depends what happens in those where they are in the standings. But yeah, I don't think they've got that much choice, have they? Really, at the moment.
Yeah. And obviously, if we see him play against Hoffenheim, then it gives me a bit more confidence to pick him. But Rodgers is a solid pick.
You've got to fancy that Leicester game is one to target, haven't you?
Yeah.
Who Villa got? Villa got West Ham again, haven't they? That was quite
Yeah.
a tight game in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd put Maddison. I'd put Rodgers. I'd put McAllister or Diaz. So like, I still think where Liverpool have got so many options, and maybe where Diaz has been a little bit out of sorts, people will be less inclined to pick him. A bit like what you did. A lot of people won't want to bring someone in that's on a drop, will they? Or that's had a bad week. But it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have a bad week again, especially with Diaz. We've seen that so many times, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind Diaz still if you're okay taking the drop.
Diaz, it depends on your ranking, because in the overall he's 40% owned, but in the top 1K, in the top 100, he's very low owned.
I still don't mind, and this would be if you haven't got many Arsenal already, obviously. But that run of 21-22, I don't mind. Do you know, you said about attackers? I actually think I'd rather take a punt on Declan Rice.
Yeah.
He seems to be doing quite well recently. 6 points, 5 points, 4, 8, and 7. Those corners that he puts in are brilliant. He gets tackles and bonus quite a lot. It's not going to be a high ceiling one, really, unless he gets an attack in return. But I think he's consistent. And then I quite like Tielemans. If you think everyone around you's going Rodgers, Tielemans could be one to maybe go a little bit different, potentially, but probably not going to get a massive swing. It's a shame. I think that real differential to be had is going to be going against Isak, isn't it? Maybe.
I'm not sure. I think if it was any other fixture, it wasn't Southampton.
Southampton,
be an obvious jump off there, but not an obvious one because they've got a double next week. But yeah, I think quite a lot of people will hold him.
Yeah, you don't want to go. You want a differential, but you don't want to go too far. You don't want to go the other direction, do you? So that is a high risk play. Who we got up next? Patrick. Oh, Diaz again. Is it too soon to give up on Diaz?
Yeah. Too soon. See how the midweek game goes. Yeah. But I think he's still a good option. That's why I brought him in.
And it's Ipswich, isn't it? Like you just see what City done against Ipswich. Surely you just give him Ipswich. Give him that one more. But even looking at Bournemouth Spurs the week after that, if you start Spurs, they're conceding for fun, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'd see it through.
Got to, ain't you?
It's hard because it's frustrating, isn't it? I've not got on with him very well this season, Diaz, when I've had him. But that ceiling is there with him. I'd see it, yeah. I'd wait. Wadey saying, is Foden a serious captain pick, or have we got to spend more time talking about Salah and Haaland like last week? Foden, obviously, back-to-back 19 pointers, back-to-back braces, 7 returns in 5 games as well. I was listening to a pod earlier. They were talking about how was it Rico Lewis has been out of the team, hasn't he? The last couple now, and it was Nunes playing as the right back, but almost playing as a proper right back rather than joining centre mid.
Yeah,
and that's what's letting Foden sort of go off the right and more inside, and it seems to be working quite well for him. So, would you be willing to captain him though?
Probably not this week, but yeah, he's definitely up there within a shout. Yeah, I just prefer like Liverpool's fixtures and Tottenham's fixtures, but I don't mind it. 2 home games. Chelsea, not the best defence, are they? In Bruges, so it's worth it. Differential, isn't it? Depends on your appetite for a risk.
I just always favour the pen takers, and I know it's boring, but
yeah,
you see Bruno pop up with another one, didn't we?
Yeah,
recently. Yeah, I would. I'm not going to. I'm just looking at the fixture ticker now, and like Liverpool having Ipswich is pretty much it's probably set that in stone for me, I reckon. But Arsenal single the week after, you're not going to do it in a single. We don't think he's probably going to play the FA Cup if it's going to be a lesser opposition, isn't it? So I'm looking at their fixtures, and I can't see one where I would captain Foden. I think he's done really well. He's only blanked what? He's not blanked for 8 games, so he's smashing it. But yeah, I'm just looking at those. Well, unless maybe one of those playoff games gets put in there and looks really good. But other than that, I don't think the fixtures look very nice, to be honest, for taking that risk. Sorry, Wadey. But if you're feeling it, don't let us put you off. Ian Curry, apart from Trent, who are the best defenders?
What do you think?
Well, I'm still happy with Porro, even though it wasn't very good that last game, and Spurs are relegation battle now, aren't they? But I just think he still seems to get plenty of games, and we know he's got the attacking threat. But yeah, I've put him down on the list. Obviously, Vardiol maybe to be considered. But again, there are quite a few hard fixtures, and maybe we shouldn't get blinded by a clean sheet against Ipswich when they've got the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Spurs all coming.
But, yeah, Forest away.
Yeah. Did I skip them out, did I?
Yeah. You can't skip out on the wood.
Yeah, no more wood talk on this one. I don't mind Cash and Digne, actually. Like they were really good against us. Digne didn't start, did he? Maatsen started, but they brought Digne on, and I thought he changed the game, actually. Both of those crosses for both their assists were brilliant. So depending on, again, European games, what happens, maybe if you're looking for a budget one, they could work. I probably wouldn't put them up there as best defenders, but they're definitely options. You said Virgil, didn't you? I think he's probably going to be the top tier one, just because it's a combo, isn't it? They've got all the extra games. He's pretty nailed. He's got attacking threat as well, and they're probably the best defense at the moment, aren't they? So it's probably got to be him.
Definitely. I think you still got to consider the Arsenal defenders for this game week, especially Gabriel and Timber.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Wolves, Girona. That if I have to move one out because I've got 3, it would be Raya first. But yeah, I don't really want to lose them for this fixture, to be honest. I think Gabriel's really quite highly owned still as well, isn't he? So
yeah, I'd probably hold him for this if you have 3. Hold him for this game week, and then next week consider moving someone.
I just got to be a little bit careful, because I'll have to. I'll probably be all right, won't I? Because I'll take 2 out ahead of. I'll take 1 out ahead of game week 22, maybe, and then I could take 2 out ahead of game week 23. But that's as long as nothing else comes up, then. Yeah,
that's the only thing.
What about? I know it's not going to be the top defender, but any loves for Simicast? It's going to be rotated, but
I don't know, because Robertson's still got getting minutes as well, and so I just want nailed. I'm not. That's why I was a bit like about the Villa wing backs.
Yeah,
Cash may be more nailed, but Digne is a better dream team player. So I don't know. Yeah, just not guaranteed minutes. That's the only thing for me.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't go near any single game week ones. All out in Europe.
I wouldn't bring any in, but if I had like Newcastle, I'd be happy with that. Lewis Hall or something with Southampton away.
They all done well, didn't they? Robinson, Hall, and Munoz all smashed it.
Yeah. Yeah, Kirk's done all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I won't be bringing him in.
Who is up? That's a DT. Actually, I was going to just ask. I think it plays into this question actually, so I'll read DT Phillips' question. So his team is Kinski, Timber, Porro, Trent, Bruno, Kulu, Foden, KDB, Isak, Hahn, and Salah. He's thinking of upgrading Kinski to either Alisson or Raya, and Timber to Gabriel or Virgil van Dijk. So depending on which combination I go for, I'll still have between 0.9 and 1.3 in the bank. So let's break it down. So Kinski can't play the European game. I'm assuming this means he can't play the playoffs either. It will have to be the knockouts. Would you reckon?
I think he can be introduced in the playoffs. I think they get to
Yeah.
do the squads again. I'm sure I read that. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, he can't. He's cup tied for the group stages, but in the playoffs, they can change the squad.
That's what I wasn't sure whether you're picking a new squad. I wondered whether the playoffs is kind of grouped with the group stage or whether it's grouped into almost being the first round of the knockouts. Wasn't sure.
Yeah, I remember when I was reading up on him being cup tied. I'm sure it said that. Yeah, but double check everyone about that. Yeah. I'm sure he can play in the playoffs if they obviously take somebody out and put him in the squad. Yeah.
So would you think about moving him on now for either Alisson or Raya? I mean, it's Leicester home the next game.
His team looks really good. It doesn't even look like as much. You won't want to change anything really. It's just like trying to gain those little 5% here and there in it really with the upgrades. Yeah, so Kinski's definitely got a single this week in game 21, but he'll have a double in 22. And if you bring in Alisson in, yeah, he might play 21. He might play the Champions League. He might not. Did he play the semi-final of the Cup? I can't remember now. The first leg.
Yeah, he played. Alisson played the semi-final. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So.
Yeah. I think that was a bit of a surprise as well.
Yeah, because Kelleher usually plays the cup games.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
And then Raya has got double, but in 23 you're probably jumping back off again. So yeah, Raya is probably the best for if you want a double game week keeper for the next 2 weeks. But I mean, Emi Martinez has got a nice double, but then he's only got a single the week after that. It's just. I'd
dodge Raya. I would dodge Raya, to be honest.
Kinski, I like Kinski because he's just cheap and he'll just sit there. Okay, he's got a single this week in Leicester. He'll probably keep a clean sheet in that. And then it's double next week. And then if they're in the playoffs, he's got double. So I don't know. It's like gaining those extra 5%. And then if you get an injury, then you're going to get stuck with. So, yeah. What do you think?
I'm looking at that and I think, I mean, he's going to want one. I don't like moving the keeper to Raya. I'd prefer doing it to Alisson, but again, like you say, if he takes Alisson out and they get the win in the Champions League tomorrow, then you may end up just Kelleher.
Yeah.
But then you want Alisson than Ipswich. I think Alisson is the better option. I quite like Alisson as a shout. Like, he gets plenty of save points as well compared to Raya. Yeah. Is it change for change's sake? Like, that team does look really good. You mentioned it, didn't you, when we were chatting? It's like, could you roll, see what happens in Europe, and then just go into the next one with free transfers, knowing what every team needs a bit better?
Yeah, I'd be happy to roll with that team. Really, I mean, what you're going to gain. So if you swap Gabriel for Timber, you've got the possibility of more chance of scoring a goal, but the next week you could have free transfers, and then you could change your team completely depending on the playoffs. Not completely, but yeah, free. You can do free moves. It's a bit more flexible, isn't it?
Yeah, I was against it like earlier in the season because of the like you're burning one. We were all aggressively trying to build budget, wasn't we?
Mm.
But now like we've got Saka out of the game. We've all got quite a bit of money. Like a budget is still needed. But we've all got pretty good teams, a lot of us, and that looks a really good team. So could the extra transfer actually be worth it in that scenario? I think it could actually. Yeah, I think you're maybe in danger of making your team worse, possibly.
Yeah.
Looking at that, I'd hold it because, like Kinski, like you kind of said, all right, he's not going to get the next 2 European games, but Leicester at home, Brentford away, probably plays Liverpool. He probably plays FA Cup as well against Villa, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then you'll know also by that point whether he's going to probably have the playoffs. Yeah, I would do nothing. It's a bit of a cop-out answer, it feels like, but or is there a different keeper and defender you'd look at bringing in?
Well, if you had free transfers next week, then he can decide if he wants to move off Timber. Then, obviously, because they're going to have a blank in 23 if they don't get the playoffs, or if they go through to the they get the top 8 and go through to the last 16. So yeah, I'd probably like that bit more holding.
Yeah, I think do that. I think that's a decent option. And then we've not mentioned this, but like Chris Stone is saying, oh, hang on, Philip's in the chat here, so we can just back and forth. So just hold if no one picks up any injuries midweek. Yeah, then midweek we'll get a better idea as well of what happens after Europe. That'll be after Wednesday. Wednesday we'll know more about the Champions League, won't we? And then Thursday Europa.
Yeah. Yeah, a nice advantage for you to have an extra transfer.
Chris Stone, is Son a better / good option now Solanke is out regarding volume of fixtures? Injuries permitting, seems a good hope of Isak to make up points / gamble. That's the problem in it, taking Isak out. What do you think on bringing Son in? So you'll be looking at you'll be looking at Leicester versus Isak's Southampton away. So Leicester home for Son. Then you'd imagine he gets Elfsborg. It's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
But then you lose. You don't lose a fixture, but then you get Brentford away, Liverpool away, versus Isak's Fulham at home, Arsenal home.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Listening to another podcast, Spurs fans talking about Son like he's past it now. So, but
that Planet FPL earlier. I listened to that. Yeah, I listened to that.
Yes, they were going out. He was saying that he wouldn't mind seeing that Mikey Moore play instead of Son.
Yeah, I literally listened to that. Must have listened to the same pod earlier. Yeah, he was not complimentary of Son, really. That'd be enough to put me off, I think.
He's been getting taken off early as well, hasn't he?
Yeah. No, I don't love that, to be honest. I think I'd do Watkins if I was going to take that chance. I know you have got the danger of Duran.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He looked on it against us, but yeah, Duran can take the.
He does have a very good record against Leicester as well, Son.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do look dodgy.
So slow at the back now.
Yeah, I don't like it. Sorry, Chris. He could do well. It could do well against Leicester. You want Isak? Do you want Isak back then? I don't. Brentford, Liverpool, both away is tough. I suppose Newcastle, Fulham home, Arsenal home is tough as well, but Newcastle are, maybe except yesterday, very good at home. Or except Saturday, sorry.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I mean, yeah, I'd want to see if he plays against Hoffenheim in the midweek game.
And
But
how he
yeah,
plays.
I don't think I'll be doing it. I'm happy to hold Isak for these games. I want him for the Game22 double as well. But yeah, I like it. I like the idea.
That is kind of what you got and what you are going to have to look out for, isn't it? To while a lot of us have got similar teams, you have got to look out for those gains. But could it be somewhere else? Could you wait and then try and make that gain in that FA Cup week, or once we know the playoff teams, try and pull it there rather than in the best fixture for each. Right, cheers for the questions, guys. Quickly do the leagues.
Yeah.
I know Steve in the chat wants to know what's going on with a second chance, where we are at. I'm doing terribly in that. Let's have a look. Where are you in second chance? I feel like you've been beating me over the last couple of weeks.
Need to have a look.
Oh, not our second chance, sorry.
6,000th in the second chance league.
I'm 8,700 second chance overall. Hey, hang on a minute. I've just seen something pop up here.
What?
Could be a coincidence, but I just see. Do you know the notification that comes up? There's like winners midweek on Dream Team.
Yeah.
It says West Ham supporter Jay Hannell just scooped 250 quid on the score predictor. I wonder if that's Jay Hannell in our Patreon who won Dream Team last season.
Yeah, it might be. He won the whole game last year.
If he's winning Dream Team last season and he's just won 250 quid on the score predictor, he needs to do my lottery numbers.
Did he win 50k last year, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. Oh, if you haven't seen that notification, get onto him. Get your 250 quid. Right, leagues. Sorry, got distracted there. Let's go on FF stuff. Here we've survived Palmer. He's off. Full time. Oh, no, it's full time. He went off in the 84th minute. What did he finish up on?
4 points.
4 points.
Not too bad.
Take that. Right, leagues. Tonic tag team. I'll go with this one. So in third, it's myself and Connor. In second, Paul McNulty and Andrew Ferguson. And in first, S. Maxwell and A. Gregory. Yeah, they got a nice lead actually going on at the minute at the top. So well played, guys. Have you got any open there?
Yeah, Patreon members only cash league. Got S. Powell in third, L. Giles in second, and Jacko Miles in first. He's in the top 5 overall as well, isn't he?
Who, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, smashing it. It's really competitive up the top there.
Yeah, he's 5th overall at the minute.
Obviously, Lee Giles and Silent Powell, legends of the game as well, aren't they? Always up there. Yeah. I love how Silent Powell's embraced Silent Powell as his nickname, and it's his actual team name now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, Cash League. In first, we've got G Mills. In second, Lee Giles. And in first, a former Dream Team winner, Andrew Ferguson.
Oh. Another one.
I fell down there over the last couple of weeks.
Another one at the top.
Yeah, I mean, there's some big names up there. What else we got left?
Got the Tonic second chance league.
Yep.
a certain Tony Sutcliffe is just outside the top 3. The top 3 is R. Hawkyard. Second is Ben Coles Palmer. And and first is D. Malloy.
Well played, guys. Well played, guys. Right. Is that all of them?
Oh, there's a patron shield as well. We're in stage
blimey.
3 now. So there's 5 rounds and the top 32 go through to the knockout stages. So we'll just say top 3. P. Harrison in third, Ben Coles in second, and Andrew Ferguson's top.
Well played.
Are you in the top 32 yet?
What are we looking at? Shield. No, I'm
Yeah.
what 54th.
I'm 49th. Tony's 4th.
Tony's still got to send me that shield for me to then give it back to him.
Yeah. Come on, Tony. Get out of bed.
Yeah, he said I was dragging it out, so I'm going to be on him now.
Every pod now.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you keep yourself.
I had to do the same for when I won it. It took a year to get my trophy.
Well, we'll ensure that if someone outside of us wins it, we'll get that shield to you quicker.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, one last bit of admin. So yeah, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And then if you are interested in joining our community or just showing your support to the podcast, you can become a channel member or a Patreon member with the link in the description below. But yeah, good luck for the rest of the game week. See you later.
Yep. Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.